My name is Nathan Carlisle, and on the night of our 20th wedding anniversary, I realized I didn't exist anymore. Not as a man. Not as a husband. Not even as a father. I was a ghost in my own house. A man whose presence faded into the wallpaper while laughter and wine glasses clinked around him. My wife, Vanessa, looked radiant that night. Her dress shimmered like champagne. Her voice lit the room. Her hand, however, rested far too often on the arm of another man. That man was Patrick Ellison, my former business partner and current friend of the family. Or at least, that's what I thought. He toasted Vanessa in front of everyone. He recounted stories I wasn't part of. He made jokes at my expense. Vanessa laughed the loudest. "You're so quiet tonight, Nathan," she said, barely glancing at me. "You're like a ghost." Everyone laughed. I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because I knew something they didn't. I wasn't a ghost. I was an executioner. And the clock had just started ticking. The weeks leading up to the party had been painful. Subtle changes. The way Vanessa kept her phone angled away when texting. The sudden girls' weekends. The way she started calling me by my full name again. Nathan. Not Nate. Formal. Distant. I dismissed the signs. After all, 20 years, 2 kids, countless memories. We'd built a life. She wouldn't throw it away. But then I found the receipt. A boutique hotel 2 nights under her maiden name. That was 3 months ago. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to know more. I needed to understand the shape of the betrayal. So I did what every rational man does when his world starts to crack. I turned to reason. I hired a private investigator. Discreet. Professional. Ruthless. The reports came in weekly. Photos. Timelines. Names. Patrick was a frequent flyer. At first, I felt the heat rise in my neck. My fists clenched. Rage. Disgust. But then something colder settled in. Something heavier. A kind of peace made of granite and frost. They were making a fool of me. In my own home. In front of my children. At my own table. I was done playing the loyal fool. But I didn't want a confrontation. That's what they'd expect. Some emotional breakdown, tears, shouting. No. I wasn't going to yell. I was going to erase them. Legally. Financially. Socially. Everything. I spent the next weeks preparing. Patrick had co-owned our software firm years ago, but cashed out his shares to focus on family. What he didn't know was that I had restructured the business, transferred key IP to a holding company registered in Nevada, and made myself the sole owner. Vanessa, of course, had no clue either. While she was busy making dinner plans with Patrick, I was meeting with divorce lawyers, accountants, estate planners, and one very sharp forensic analyst who dug into her spending habits with clinical precision. She'd taken over $85,000 from our joint accounts in the past year. Spa visits. Jewelry. Designer shoes. Gifts for someone. Not me. Meanwhile, I moved assets. Quietly. Cleanly. Our family trust was rewired. Our children's college funds placed out of reach, protected under irrevocable clauses she couldn't touch post-divorce. The beach house in Carmel? Signed over to a dummy LLC, one I would dissolve the moment proceedings began. Vanessa wouldn't see a cent, unless I wanted her to. And I didn't. The night of the anniversary, I let them laugh. Let them toast. Let them believe I was defeated. I even caught Patrick whisper something in her ear as she giggled and placed a hand on his knee. Charming. Predictable. They thought they'd won. What they didn't realize is that I had been documenting every step. Emails. Messages. Hotel footage. GPS logs. Every lie cross-referenced and neatly filed. I had everything I needed. Except a moment. So I waited. And it came 4 days later. Vanessa was in the living room with our daughter, Emily. 15, sharp as a blade, quiet as a spy. She adored her mother, idolized her. I knew I'd lose that when I filed. But I also knew what had to be done. I stepped into the room and cleared my throat. Vanessa looked up, mildly annoyed. Emily smiled. "Hey, Dad, can we talk?" I said, my voice even. Vanessa sighed. "If this is about the party, can we not?" "It's not." I handed her a folder. She opened it. Her face dropped a full shade. Inside were bank statements, screenshots, a printed chain of texts between her and Patrick. What is this?" "The truth," I said. Emily's eyes flicked between us. "Mom?" Vanessa swallowed hard. "Nathan, we should talk privately." "I think Emily should hear it," I said. "She's old enough." My wife's mouth opened, then closed. Her fingers shook. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. The divorce papers will arrive tomorrow. I'm requesting full custody of the kids, based on infidelity, financial misconduct, and emotional manipulation." Her voice rose. "You can't do this in front of her." "I can. I just did." She stood up, furious. "This is outrageous." I turned to Emily. "Honey, if you want to stay with your mother, I won't stop you. But I think you deserve to know what's been happening." Emily didn't say a word, but she didn't move toward her mother either. Vanessa's fury gave way to something worse, fear. Pure, exposed fear. I walked to the door, paused, and turned back. "Oh, and one more thing." She looked up, trembling. "You remember that night at the party? When you said I was a ghost?" She nodded slowly. I smiled. "Ghosts don't disappear, Vanessa. They haunt." Vanessa didn't sleep that night. I heard her pacing the hallway barefoot, then the pop of a wine bottle sometime before dawn. Probably writing out the ruins of her life on a napkin. I didn't come out. I slept, deeply, for the first time in months. The next day, a courier arrived. The packet was thick: divorce papers, notice of restricted access to shared accounts, formal freeze on 3 credit cards, and a legal request to vacate the home within 7 days. Everything was prepared. The law was on my side. She didn't say a word. Just looked at me like I was a stranger. Patrick showed up that evening. As soon as I saw him on the porch, expensive coat, smug little smirk of a man who thinks he's already won, I knew he had no idea how close to the edge he really was. He walked in like he owned the place. "We need to talk," he said, looking right past me, like I was furniture. "Sure," I said. "Come on in." I didn't lead him to my office. I led him to the kitchen. On the table sat a folder, the one I'd been building piece by piece for months. Patrick sat down, still confident, like a man in control. "Look, I know you're upset," he began. I slid the folder in front of him. Receipts, screenshots, surveillance photos from the hotel lobby, an audio recording from my car dashcam, parked outside the restaurant they thought was discreet. "You were spying on us?" He tensed, but tried to keep his posture casual. "No, I was observing. As a shareholder." He raised an eyebrow. "What?" "You sold your shares to me, remember? What you didn't know was that 51% had already been secured under a family trust in my name. Legally, you never had full control." His face lost color. "So? So now, after this friendship with my wife, you violated multiple terms of our business agreement. I had my legal team review the contract. Surprise, the deal can be voided in the event of personal misconduct by either party. And I've got the evidence. All of it. With timestamps. You're bluffing." "I'm not. You'll lose everything. Your family. Your daughter." I leaned closer across the table. "And you'll lose everything that ever made you feel like a man." He swallowed hard, trying to find leverage. "You won't do it. It's emotional. It's math, Patrick. Surgical math. You stepped into my home. Now I'm cutting you out of my life, cleanly. He stood up, fists clenched. You really think people will take your side? I don't think. I smiled. I know. A week later, the dominoes started to fall. Vanessa filed a countersuit, claiming emotional neglect, that I'd grown distant, unloving. But when the judge saw the financial records, the photos, the timeline, her arguments collapsed. Patrick didn't show up after the third day of court. Officially, business trip. Unofficially, fired from his executive role at a mid-sized tech firm, after someone anonymously delivered a thick envelope to HR. Yes, I went there. Patrick's wife? Oh, he forgot I still had her LinkedIn saved from years ago. I invited her for coffee. Calmly. No drama. I slid a folder across the table. Didn't say a word. She took it. Left. Didn't thank me. But in her eyes, there was fire. And gratitude. Patrick lost 2 homes, his marriage, and his reputation in under a month. Me? I just began again. Vanessa moved out. We didn't fight. I let her keep the car. She asked for more. I said no. Everything was recorded. Every request she made, I had my lawyer draft into the official record. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't even flinch. That drove her insane. My daughter, Emily, wasn't easy to read. She loved her mother. She was torn. I didn't pressure her. I waited. One evening, she stepped into my office. Are you really going to forgive her? I looked up. No, but I'm not angry. Anger makes us like them. She nodded slowly. I want to stay with you. I squeezed her hand. I'd love that, but only if it's what you want. I'm sure. 2 months later, I stood on stage, accepting an award for business innovation and leadership. Dozens of people sat before me. Old friends, new investors, former skeptics, and in the back row, Vanessa, alone, pale, defeated. I spoke about trust, about legacy, about staying kind, even when the world wasn't. And most importantly, I said, never mistake silence for weakness. Sometimes silence is a strategy. I looked right at her. Our eyes met. That night, she texted me. You've changed. I replied. No, I just stopped hiding. The house felt different now. Quieter, but not empty. Emily would sometimes read on the porch while I cooked. Other times, she'd bring her sketchbook into the living room and just sit nearby, silently sketching. I never asked what she drew. I didn't need to. I could feel it, the shift. We were rebuilding something. Not just trust, but peace. One evening, I came across a photo album, tucked behind old books in the hallway cabinet. Vanessa and I, young, bright-eyed, arms around each other. First apartment. First dog. First smile after a long day. I didn't feel hatred. Not even sorrow. Just distance. A quiet confirmation that the man in those photos was gone. He'd died quietly. Not on the night of the betrayal, but on all the nights he tolerated less than he deserved. I closed the album and put it back. Let the past stay shelved. Emily asked me one night, do you miss her? I paused. I miss the version of her I thought I knew. She nodded. Didn't press. We sat in silence. It was the most honest answer I could give. Weeks passed. Then months. The legal process ended. Vanessa settled. Tried to argue for more. Tried to appeal. But the court stance was firm. She got what was fair. No more. Patrick? Rumors said he left town. Some claimed he tried starting a new company. But word spreads fast in tech, especially when your name is attached to moral rot. I didn't chase him. Didn't need to. Sometimes the worst revenge is letting someone drown in the life they built. Then came the email. From a woman named Claire Dunning. A writer. Divorce columnist. She'd heard whispers about The ghost who came back to life. She asked to meet. Said she wanted to write about strength. Reinvention. I declined. Politely. My story wasn't for headlines. It was for my daughter, myself, and no one else. But her words stuck with me. Sometimes the quietest victories echo the loudest. 6 months later, I opened a new business. Smaller, simpler, mine. I no longer chased funding rounds or investor calls. I created things, clean code, honest value. And I hired people I believed in. People who knew pain, but chose purpose. One afternoon, during a meeting, I looked out the window. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, casting soft lines across the floor. The same kind of light that once spilled through the kitchen window back in the old house, where Vanessa would hum while making coffee. But this time, it wasn't haunted. It was warm. On my birthday, Emily handed me a small wrap box. Inside, a watch. Simple. Elegant. No inscription, except for one word etched on the back. Present. I looked at her. She smiled. I figured you spent enough time looking back. She was right. I wasn't the ghost anymore. I was the man who had returned. Stronger. Quieter. But never invisible again. And to those who thought I'd fade, I didn't just survive. I rebuilt. I thrived. And in the end, I forgave them. Not because they deserved it, but because I did.